So it's the 29th of April, and this is the first part of the recipe that I'll be making. And it's called Mbudarghek. It's a sweet recipe, a Gambian recipe, and there are just 3 ingredients, which is the bread, peanut butter, and sugar. Now, for this, the bread needs to be dry. So I have just had this come through, and it's fresh bread, and obviously I need it to dry out. So I'll be just leaving it to air dry on its own. I really don't have any idea how long that could take. Something to speed it up would have been to cut it up in smaller pieces. Obviously it will dry out much quicker, but I don't want to do that because I'm worried about, too much air. It could make it taste too stale. And so for me, I'm just going to leave it, but not to say that you can't do that. Go ahead and cut it up should you wish to. Although this is a bit too much of what I really do want to make, meaning the amount I want to make. So I just might cut some and eat some of it because I love baguette. And with cheese, I cannot resist it. So we'll see how that goes on the next part. Should you see the baguette in half, just know that that's what I've gone ahead and done. Hi, so it's quite a while later. It's actually the 10th of May today, and as you know, the first part was on the 29th. I didn't leave it that long, nothing to do with the bread. The bread actually, I believe, dried out probably after 3 days. It was just circumstances beyond my control. I couldn't make the video. But the bread is fine, so I'm still going to use it. It's completely dry now. And of course, I have the peanut butter. And this is the one I, of course, made myself. And it could be that I need more because I will use all the bread. Otherwise, I'll have to throw it away. I still have some peanut butter. Over from my Holland & Barrett shop, so I might use that. And I have these Ramekins in the soldier cups. I'm just going to use that just to do a nice little arrangement on the plate, because when you're done with this Mbudarghek thing, you can actually mold them. So that gives you an idea of the consistency you're supposed to have. And I have this sugar, and this is the container. This is the, Diana and Charles Royal Wedding. I actually got this from the charity shop ages ago. So I'm going to store mine there, and generally I would store it in a tin container, but I think you could also perhaps store it in a plastic container. That should be fine, or glass. So let's just get started. Of course, the only other thing we need now is the food processor, which is on the other side, and we'll go there to do it. Okay, so I used the knife basically just to pick through the bread, and it's all in there. That's what I needed the bowl for. And now we just go and put it in the blender. And I am going to have to do it in batches because it's obviously all not going to fit here. I have a very small food processor, and even if you had a big one, you'd probably still need to do it in batches, obviously, depending on how much bread you are using. Okay, so the only thing in the food processor at the moment is the bread, and that's all. So that's the first batch, and you would want to grind this really fine. I'm not particularly bothered about the brown bits at the top. I would tell you that would really depend on the bread you get. For instance, I got this batten, and you could have seen even in the beginning of the video the type of baguette it was. There is another type which isn't as brown. Perhaps that could possibly be the best one. Not to say that the taste would change or even the texture, but if you're just not particularly happy with those brown bits, that's fine. Get the lighter one, or just, I guess, continue to ground it until you get the smaller bits that you do wish to have. And I'm going to carry on with the other batch. Now, as you can see that the level of the bread is really low, you could, of course, just come here and add more pieces of bread, each to its own. For me, this is just the way I prefer to do it. Just gives each one its own space. But you can go ahead and just add more bread, and I'm sure it will just ground all together just as well. Now, when it's grinding, you will get always 1 or 2 stubborn pieces. You can see I have one in this batch. Just carry on blending because it will go through. It may take a little while, although everything else is ready, but that just needs its own time to go down to the bottom of the blade. Okay, so we're all done grinding the bread, and now it's just to add the 2 ingredients, which is the sugar and the peanut butter. Now, I'd feel very much more comfortable should I do this in 2 batches, and that's what I'm going to do. Again, that's just basically because I have a really small food processor, so if you have a bigger one, go ahead. As you can see, it isn't that much to you needing to separate it. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do so. For the sugar, I will tell you now that, honestly, the sugar entirely depends on you, because for it to mold really comes from the peanut butter. But the sugar really just would depend on you. I don't have a sweet tooth, so when I make mine, it has a lot less sugar than I know a lot of people put in theirs. But it needs sugar. You absolutely have to put sugar, unless if you don't eat sugar. I guess you could try it, but it will taste a bit strange. But the sugar is entirely up to you. But when it comes to the peanut butter, you can't really say, I only want a little bit. You're going to have to go with how it's turning out. And when it gets to that desired consistency that you would see, which I have, I think that's the point that you know you have enough peanut butter. The one thing I will tell you is do be careful when you put it in. For instance, I'm not just going to go ahead and pour everything because I'm not too sure. I don't really measure a lot. I'm very African when it comes to cooking. I don't go into measurements. So I just put a little bit at a time and see how it turns out. And that would tell me exactly what I have. And what I tend to do is, rather than put the sugar and the peanut butter together, I tend to put the peanut butter first until it's looking just about right. Then I add the sugar that I want. Yeah, and that's the way we're doing it. So let's go ahead. Okay, so I've just mixed the peanut butter thoroughly because you could see there was oil at the top, and that's what you always must do. If you could see, there's a huge amount of oil in this one, and you must mix it when you open it really well so that every scoop you take out has a good amount of oil in it. The other really good reason why I think is always wise to do it in 2 batches at least. That's because if I put peanut butter in right now and I blend this and I realize that I've put too much peanut butter, I can always save myself and just go ahead and take some of the other ground bread that I have and add it to it. But had you gone on and just put everything together, you are going to have to, wait out a little while to try and balance it really. So for me, this works. Okay, so I've stopped about halfway through, and this is what I was talking about. Like right now, you can assess what it is that you need. Would it have been more bread or more peanut butter? In this case, it's obviously more peanut butter because it's too sandy. This is not the texture we are after. And so I'll add a bit more peanut butter and then try and get it to that good texture that we need. Okay, so I've added a bit more peanut butter, and the other thing to say is when you add the peanut butter, let it really blend for a while because it would take a bit more time to just get into all of that bread. So give it a really good amount of time to blend well. Otherwise, you might think, oh, you need more when you really don't. And that's also good with the food processor that you're using. This is why I was concerned to put everything in mine. Should I have done so? I don't really trust my blades. They're too low at the bottom. Okay, so I've stopped again, and I can see it's looking really good. I can sort of stop here because it's okay. But I will just go ahead and add the rest of the peanut butter that I have just because I want to do so. Also, I think it could do with just a little bit more strong hold together. So I've added the peanut butter and it's all finished now in the jar. And at this time, I can just go ahead and add my sugar because I know that this is enough peanut butter for the whole batch that I'm making. And just like I said, the sugar really would be up to you. What you want. I'm so sorry, everything looks so dirty. It's just the dust from the bread. So at this stage you might need to stop and just mix it through because you can see that it's almost at a standstill, but there's sugar on the sides. And you can also taste the sugar. Can you tell I'm eating some? It's so nice. Yeah, so you can taste the sugar now to see if you want more. Okay, so I'm done with that one. And this is the peanut butter that I made. So this is going to give me a second recipe to really test out the peanut butter that I did at home. And for this one, I'll use the one from Holland & Barrett. And I need to mix that through. It's all done now, and the other one's in the container. And that's it really. And for this recipe, this is going to be even, not only mentioned, but I'm going to call it Yamagirl100's peanut butter castles. I really cannot thank you, Yama. You are like the best ever. And just like I've said 1,000 times, I don't have many words for you. It will not amount to what I feel. So just a big thank you. And I hope you like this and make it as well. So at home, there's another thing that we like to do when we eat this, which is to eat it with yogurt. And this is a low-fat natural yogurt. Now I buy this yogurt for 3 different reasons. It's cheap, first of all. It's low-fat, but another thing is it's slightly tangy, which I think goes really well with the peanut butter, if you want to eat it together, that is. I don't only buy it to eat it with this. I eat it like that. I really like yogurt. So it's really good. I think it's about 50p. Used to be very cheap. It's gone up a little, but it's really nice, goes really well with this. And yeah, you can try that, but generally you just eat this by itself like that. So, yep, let me do something like that. There you go. Thank you. Bye.